With 5 to 6 major sets and multiple holiday releases every year, it sometimes feels like Pokemon is releasing new products faster than we can keep up. But here's the real question. Is this constant stream of new sets actually hurting the hobby, or is it keeping things fresh and exciting? In this video, I'll dive into whether the rapid release cycle is killing set identity, creating a generation of FOMO-driven collectors, and potentially ruining long-term investment value. I'll also discuss whether Pokemon is prioritizing quantity over quality, and what collectors should really focus on in this fast-paced hobby or market. The breakneck pace, when every 1 to 3 months brings a new must-have set. Remember when getting a new Pokemon set felt like Christmas morning? Those days seem to be fading fast. Pokemon's current release schedule has transformed from special occasions into an overwhelming conveyor belt of products that never stop moving. With main sets dropping every 2 to 3 months, we're looking at roughly 5 to 6 major releases per year, not counting the special holiday sets that Pokemon loves to surprise us with. That means collectors are expected to make purchasing decisions about new products approximately every 60 to 90 days. For many of us, that's barely enough time to complete the previous set, let alone properly evaluate whether we even want to collect it. This breakneck pace creates what I call chased card fatigue. When every set promises to have the next big thing, whether it's a special illustration rare, whether it's a stunning Charizard, whether it's the latest evolution, nothing feels truly special anymore. The excitement that used to build over months of anticipation is now compressed into weeks, and frankly, it's exhausting. Just look at what happened when Shrouded Fable and Stellar Crown. Both sets were released back-to-back in August and September, and compared to other recent releases, both sets generated significantly less excitement and demand. When collectors are still processing one set, they simply don't have the mental or financial bandwidth to get excited about the next one. This rapid-fire approach doesn't just affect our wallets, it fundamentally changes how we experience the hobby. Instead of savoring each set and building meaningful collections, we're constantly in reactive mode, trying to keep up with the latest release while the previous one is still fresh in our minds. But the real problem isn't just the pace itself, it's how this schedule is training collectors to develop some seriously unhealthy buying habits. The FOMO factory, how rapid releases are creating panic buying addicts. Here's where things get really concerning. Pokemon's rapid release schedule isn't just overwhelming, it's actively training collectors to make fear-based purchasing decisions that go against everything we know about smart collecting. Think about it. When sets are coming out every few months and each one sells out faster than the last, what's the natural response? Panic buy. Collectors start thinking, if I don't pre-order this immediately, I'll miss out forever. This creates a vicious cycle where FOMO, or fear of missing out, becomes the primary driver of purchasing decisions rather than genuine interest in the cards themselves. I've watched this play out repeatedly in the community. People keep speculating about which set will be the next 151 or the prismatic evolutions, and this speculation creates a FOMO-driven buying cycle that's completely divorced from the actual quality or appeal of the cards. Instead of evaluating each set on its own merits, collectors are making purchasing decisions based on fear and speculation. This is a dramatic shift from how things used to work. If we look back at some previous releases, collectors weren't constantly predicting whether a new set would be the next Evolving Skies or the next Crown Zenith. Each set was viewed as its own unique entity with its identity and appeal. Collectors had time to see the cards, understand the set's theme, and make informed decisions about whether or not they wanted to collect it. Now, sets sell out in pre-orders before most collectors have even seen all the cards. We're buying blind, driven by fear rather than the genuine excitement or appreciation of the Pokemon cards in that set. And this FOMO-driven approach is fundamentally changing the collector mindset. Instead of building thoughtful, curated collections based on personal preferences, many collectors are trying to buy everything out of fear that they'll miss the next big thing. Now, this isn't sustainable, and it's certainly not healthy for the hobby long term. The consequences of panic buying extend far beyond individual collectors' wallets. They're reshaping the entire economic foundation of Pokemon card collecting. The value destruction engine, how mass production kills long-term investment potential. Now let's talk about something that might make long-term collectors uncomfortable, and that's the potential destruction of long-term value in Pokemon cards. With Pokemon printing 10.2 billion cards annually and maintaining reprint cycles that can last for years, we need to seriously question whether we're heading toward a future where nothing holds meaningful value. This isn't about investment potential, though that's certainly part of it. The promise of Pokemon cards maintaining or increasing their value over time has become a significant draw from collectors. It made the hobby feel sustainable and rewarding. But when supply is this abundant and constantly refreshed through reprints, basic economics tells us that values will struggle to appreciate meaningfully. Consider this. this. Every time a new set releases, it's not just competing with previous sets for collectors' attention and money, it's also adding to an ever-growing pool of chase cards that dilutes the significance of any individual card. When everything is rare and special, nothing truly is. The constant reprinting compounds this problem. Sets that collectors thought were becoming scarce suddenly get major reprints. The market would supply just as prices were starting to appreciate. Now this creates an environment where long-term value appreciation becomes nearly impossible for most cards. But here's the key question. Is this necessarily bad? For pure collectors who don't care about value and just want to enjoy beautiful cards, increased supply and lower prices are actually positive developments. More people can afford to collect, and cards are more accessible than ever. However, for collectors who viewed Pokemon as a hobby that could potentially pay for itself over time, or for those who enjoyed the thrill of owning something genuinely scarce and special, this shift represents a fundamental change in what Pokemon collecting means. The real issue isn't just about money. It's about the psychological satisfaction that comes from owning something special. When cards are constantly reprinted and new chase cards are released every few months, that sense of owning something unique and valuable diminishes significantly. This brings us to a crucial question about the creative process behind these sets. Is Pokemon prioritizing quantity over quality? The quality question. Are we trading artistic excellence for assembly line production? When you're releasing sets every 2 to 3 months, something has to give. The question is, what are we sacrificing in this rush to constantly feed the market with new products? Looking at recent releases like Journey Together and Destined Rivals, there's a legitimate argument that rushed development cycles are leading to sets that feel less polished and cohesive compared to their predecessors. When design teams have limited time to develop themes, create artwork, and ensure each set has a distinct identity, the results often feel generic or uninspired. Compare this to sets like 151 or Crown Zenith, which had clear, focused themes and artwork that felt carefully crafted and intentional. These sets succeeded because they had a strong creative vision that were given time to develop properly. But here's where it gets interesting though. Some collectors argue that we're actually in the golden age of Pokemon card artwork. The special illustration rares and alternate art rares we're seeing today feature some of the most stunning artwork in TCG's history. The technical quality and artistic sophistication of modern cards is undeniably impressive. So which is it? Comment down below. Are we getting better cards or worse ones? The answer might be both. And while individual cards may be more beautiful than ever, the sets themselves often lack the cohesive identity and careful curation that made classic sets memorable. It's like having a collection of beautiful paintings that don't work well together as an exhibition. When I first re-entered the hobby about 6 months ago, I was amazed by how incredible illustration mirrors looked, but now I'm somewhat becoming immune to them. When every set has stunning artwork, the impact of any individual piece starts to diminish. This raises an important question. What's Pokemon's next wave of innovation going to be? Will Mega Evolution designs make a return in the newly announced Mega Brave and Mega Symphonia sets? Will we see entirely new card types or artistic directions? The constant pressure to release new products may be limiting Pokemon's ability to take the time needed for truly revolutionary sets. This creative pressure brings us to the most important advice I can give to collectors navigating this chaotic landscape. The collector's defense. Why selective collecting is your best strategy. Here's the truth that Pokemon doesn't want you to realize. You don't have to collect every set. In fact, in today's environment, trying to collect everything is a recipe for financial disaster and hobby burnout. The most successful and satisfied collectors I know have adopted a selective approach. They collect sets and cards that genuinely appeal to them, not just because it's the newest release that happens to be selling out. This selective mindset is more important now than ever before. Every new set that is released in 2025 and 2024 late has sold out in pre-sales. Destined Rivals, Journey Together, Prismatic Evolutions, and this creates artificial pressure to buy everything. But that pressure is exactly what you need to resist. Instead, focus on building collections around what you actually want. Whether that's master sets of specific themes, particular Pokemon that you love, or artwork from specific artists, having clear collecting goals will help you avoid this FOMO trap that's consuming many collectors. And here's my practical advice for navigating the current environment. Set a budget and stick to it. Decide how much you can realistically spend on Pokemon cards each set, and don't exceed the amount regardless of how many must-have sets are released. Focus on completion. Instead of starting collections for every new set, focus on completing the sets you've already started. There's more satisfaction in finishing something than in having partial collections of everything. Consider singles. For many collectors, buying specific cards they want is more cost-effective and satisfying than gambling on packs from every new set. Take breaks. It's okay to skip sets entirely. The hobby will still be there when you're ready to engage again, and you'll probably be able to get products you missed out on at better prices later. The key is remembering that Pokemon cards should enhance your life and not stress you out or drain your finances. If the current release schedule is making the hobby feel like work rather than fun, it's time to step back and reassess your approach. Now, as we look toward the future of Pokemon collecting, it's clear that the current pace of releases is unsustainable for a lot of collectors. The constant pressure to keep up with new sets, the FOMO-driven purchasing decisions that are made, and the constant chase for new chase cards, and the dilution of what makes cards special are all symptoms of a system that prioritizes short-term sales over long-term hobby health. But here's the good news. You have more control than you might think. And by adopting a selective, intentional approach to collecting, you can reclaim that joy and excitement that drew you to Pokemon cards in the first place. Remember that the best collections aren't the ones with every card from every set. They're the ones that reflect the collector's genuine interests and passions. Whether you're drawn to specific Pokemon, particular art styles, or certain eras of the TCG, focusing on what you truly love will always be more rewarding than trying to keep up with every release. The Pokemon Company will continue to release sets at their current pace because it's profitable for them. And that doesn't mean you have to participate in every release. By being selective, patient, and intentional with your collecting choices, you can build a collection that brings you joy rather than stress. And if you're starting to feel less pressure to chase every release, you might have noticed something else too. Stores aren't selling out like they used to. In this video here, I take a closer look whether Pokemon products are actually easier to find on shelves right now. Check it out right over here.